everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and I feel like I'm just like a broken record when I say that like this is the week I'm gonna get caught up on my reading goal. So let's ignore that and just I don't really have anything else going on this week. I am going to Chicago on Thursday to go have dinner with a friend of mine from high school, and then I'm going to Temple on Friday. And then I think I'm recording a podcast Saturday. Okay, so I have a lot going on this week. But all the things I have going on should allow me to have more time for audiobooks and or reading. So, okay. Let's do that then. So, yesterday I pretty much devoted, well, I'm not going to say the whole day because that's a lie. I devoted all of the afternoon and the evening to finishing The Women's House of Detention by Hugh Ryan. The Women's House of Detention is the history of the Women's House of Detention that was located in Greenwich Village in New York City from like 1924, I want to say early 1920s, to 1972 when it closed and the building was demolished. And it sort of examines how the Women's House of Detention and Greenwich Village sort of operated together to build this queer community, and how in the various histories of Greenwich Village and queerness, the Women's House of Detention that, again, was located in Greenwich Village is not remembered about its influence. It's also about like prison systems in America in general. So there's that. So all that to say, it's very upsetting. Prison systems suck. No matter what the intention is when they're first created, no matter how good the intention is, inevitably, quickly, it's just not good. So I was struggling last week because I read nonfiction way slower because I'm learning. But also, if it's about a topic that is upsetting, I also like avoid it. So obviously that's not like a good combo. So yesterday I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna knock it out because I do. My hair is like crazy. I brushed my hair today. I brush my hair every day, but I also went for like a walk / some running. So that's probably when it got messed up. It's fine. I'll fix it. Anyway. So I read, I don't even know how many pages. Maybe like, no. Like, I want to say like 200 pages. A little less than 200 pages. Because I still had like, I want to say 30 pages this morning. So I read a little bit less than 200 last night. Well, yesterday. And part of that, I was listening to the audiobook while I was like doing some chores, and then I was reading, and yeah, I pretty much read until I started falling asleep at like 10:30. So there was that. And it is very informative. It made me think about a lot of things, and it was very well written, and I appreciated that Hugh Ryan obviously they did a lot of research. They had statistics, they had, you know, census and reports from when the prison was operational. They had various files, they interviewed people, like they did a lot of research, so I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, it was just really, really interesting. So I did give it 4 stars. I give most nonfiction 4 stars. Unless it's like, you know, I can tell like maybe it wasn't research or what have you. But most nonfiction I give a pretty decent rating because someone put a lot of work into it. Someone devoted years of their life to researching and writing this so that I could read it. And I appreciate that. And I could never do it. But it is nonfiction, so like obviously my enjoyment level means it's never gonna reach 5. But I do highly recommend this, and yeah, that's about what I got, and I highly recommend it. So this week I don't know exactly what I'm going to be reading because I'm listening to Luck of the Bodkins, and I will finish it by Saturday because my dad and I are going to record a podcast episode. And he mentioned that the Wodehouse book that we're technically reading for August is only like 50 pages, and so he threw out the idea of maybe us reading it this week and also recording that podcast on Saturday. So I might do that. I also have a book that I picked up like a week and a half ago called Thriving with Adult ADHD, which I think will be useful because if you haven't noticed, I have ADHD. And so I picked that up, and it's only like 130 pages. So I might try to knock that out. Yeah. Oh, but I also have I have 2 more books on my TBR. The last one I might not read because it's for a book club, and I've already read it, and also no one has signed up for the book club yet. So there's that. But the other book I have on my TBR is I'll Have What He's Having, and so I might start that. So who knows? But that's sort of the plan, and if I can do that, then I should be caught up. Yay! So I'm going to tame my hair, for one. It's distracting me. And I'm going to get dressed for work, and I'm going to figure out what else I'm going to do today. Hi everyone. I, surprisingly, randomly, well, not randomly, I understand why. I'm in a good mood, and that's new. I feel like there are so many times, I would say probably at least once on average in every vlog, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not in a good mood. But now I am. I am in a good mood. I recently started running again. And when I say that, I mean that I have started a running training program to work up to running. Right now, I think this morning in a 36-minute training session, I ran for a total of like, wait, hold on, I can do the math. No, I was right, 2.5 minutes. So, but I ran. So, anyway, that is putting me in a good mood, because I do actually like it. I always think that I won't, and then I do. But anyway, that's helping my mood. So, the only thing that I have read is continuing to listen to Luck of the Bodkins, and I don't think I've talked about it in this vlog yet. So Luck of the Bodkins is by P.G. Wodehouse, which I read for the podcast I do with my dad, and it follows Monty Bodkins, who we have met in a Blandings Castle novel, and he is currently on like the payroll for like a private detective agency, which started in the other novel, because he needs to hold down a job for a year to prove that he can provide for the woman that he loves. Her father is making this a condition on giving his permission for them to marry. However, like, Monty is rich, so he doesn't need the job, except that, like, he's being told that he does. So it's a little silly. Anyway, Monty is in France. He receives a telegram from his fiancée Gertrude calling off the engagement, and so he goes back to England. I was gonna say London, but I'm like, that's not right. They're not in London. Goes back to England, gets on an ocean liner that Gertrude, as well as her cousins, Reggie and Ambrose, are on, going to America so that he can try to find out, like, why. And he does, and it's resolved. And there's this whole, like, subplot with this, like, Hollywood executive named Llewellyn, and his wife, like, his wife and sister-in-law bullying him into trying to like smuggle a necklace from France or from Paris back to the US because they don't want to pay like the customs tax on it. That's what I understand. So there's a whole subplot there. But we're mainly focused on the whole Monty thing. And I don't even know what to say. There is the same thing has happened like 3 or 4 times already. And I'm only like 64% through the novel. And I know it's gonna happen again at least one more time. And it's really starting to annoy me. And I think I mentioned in last week's vlog that I do not like when lack of communication is a plot point. I do like miscommunication. I like miscommunications, I like misunderstandings because it feels real. I don't like people just not talking. Or worse, saying something. So there's a character. There's a character in this book called Peas March. He is the steward to a certain level. I think it's the C-suites of staterooms. And when we first meet him, he's like, you know, I have to give advice, even though I shouldn't because you're, you know, higher rank than me, but I'm going to give advice anyway. That you shouldn't do what you're doing. And Monty, who has been put in this position because of his friend, which is the whole thing, is confused. He's like, what am I doing? Which is fair. And Peas March is like, you know. And he's like, no, otherwise he wouldn't have asked. He would have just said, that's none of your business. But instead, Monty said, what am I doing? So just answer the question, just be like, you know. And Peas March does that so much. He makes so many assumptions. He acts holier than that. I do not like him. He is like my one of my least favorite characters in this novel. It's very annoying. So lack of communication is not my favorite thing. This book is not going to get a high rating from me. My dad and I were talking this morning, and he doesn't think it'll be above a 3.5 for him. I would be surprised if it was above a 3. I'm saying it now. Because there are a lot of things I don't like. I like 2.5 of the characters. And I am not one of those people that can enjoy a book if I don't like the characters. I cannot do that. I have to like the characters. I have to care about them. So this is not going to be a good book. I care about Monty. But that's kind of it. Like, this has a pretty big cast of characters, and I like 2.5 of them. So, yeah, there's that. I'm going to try to finish it tonight. I technically should. I'm driving to Chicago tonight to get dinner with a friend, and my cats got their food because it's 2 o'clock. And so I should, on the drive back, finish it. If I don't, I should only have like maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I'll finish it tomorrow morning. I'll drive to work. So with that, I was technically going to start reading I'll Have What He's Having physically, but because I haven't been able to pick it up, and because I will finish my audiobook tomorrow, I'm going to save that and start the audiobook for that tomorrow on my way to Temple. So I think I'm just going to read a Kindle book today, you know, before I leave, and then I think I'm going to have some time to kill once I get to the city before dinner, so I'll probably just find a cafe and just read on my Kindle. And I think the next book on my Kindle is Blood in the Water, and it estimated it should only take me like 2 hours to read, so that's cool. But yeah, that's kind of it. So I will try to remember to film lots of B-roll, and I will let you know what Luck of the Bodkins rating is. Okay, quick change of plans. I started driving to Chicago. I was listening to Luck of the Bodkins, and then, as Chris warned me, a thunderstorm was coming through, and the storm started, and I couldn't see anymore. Like, I have never experienced rain falling so quickly that it was like a whiteout. Like in winter when it's snowing and you just can't see anything, it's just white. That's how it felt. So I was like, oh, okay, I can't do that for an hour and a half. So I texted my friend, and instead of doing dinner tonight, we're rescheduling to get drinks tomorrow after I go to Temple. So obviously I've come back home. I feel so bad. Like, obviously I'm gonna see my friend, and that's the important thing. Yeah, anyway. So, since I haven't really done anything today, and if I had gone to the city tonight, I wasn't gonna do anything anyway, I've decided I'm not gonna be productive today. Well, I am, but I'm not. I'm not gonna do the things that, like, I really should do, like edit, or do a thing, like a big project thing for work that's due in like 3-ish weeks. I think those are the only things that, like, I have to do, and I'm just not going to. That's cool. Love when I make those decisions that'll bite future Robin in the butt. But instead, I think what I'm gonna do, I start a load of laundry. I'm gonna, like, empty and reload the dishwasher. I'm gonna do, like, little productive things. And then while the laundry's going, I'm going to read the book I mentioned, Blood in the Water. Because, like I said, it's only gonna take me 2 hours. That's what my Kindle says. Once I do that, I will fold the laundry that I've been able to do. While I do that, I will listen to Luck of the Bodkins, probably finish a chapter that I was listening to, maybe listen to another one, depending on how long it is. And I'll finish that tomorrow on the way to work, realistically on the way to Temple. And then, after I do that, I will go ahead and start I'll Have What He's Having, because I'm not going to start the audiobook tomorrow. So, that's the plan. I've managed to turn this around, and at some point I had to cook dinner. Yeah, so I managed to just turn this around, and I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be a reading evening. Things will be fine. We'll be fine. So, yeah, I'll let you know what happens. I have read and finished Blood in the Water, and yes, this is my 3rd update for the day. Okay. So, Blood in the Water is the start of a series following, what's his name? Kyros, I believe, and Eric. They are the captains of 2 separate, like, pirate ships. And Kyros took something from Eric, like, a year before the story is set, mainly as, like, a form of flirting. And so he, like, intentionally goes after another, like, a merchant ship that Eric is probably gonna want. Kyros gets there first. Eric, is upset, and that's where their, like, flirting begins. What Kyros doesn't know is that Eric is cursed. He has, like, a demon trapped inside of him that escapes when there's a moonlight on it. And it, like, when it escapes, it, like, kills him. Well, no, it harms Eric, and it kills everyone around them. And then when it returns to Eric's body, it heals him. So Eric has been dealing with this curse for 6 years, and he's trying to find these pieces of, like, a puzzle box that is supposed to trap the demon. And so Eric and Kyros end up working more together to construct this puzzle box to get the demon out of Eric. Some things happen. Their relationship develops. It wasn't a bad book. I did appreciate the plot. It just felt like, okay, so one of the tags, and it says this, like, at the very beginning, it has a little, like, it has, like, a summary, and then it has some common trope tags, and one of them is, like, a slow burn / UST, which is unresolved sexual tension. They banged at 40%. Which, this book is only is only 111 pages. That's not a slow burn. And so, if I didn't know that it was tagged that, which, again, there was no way to avoid that. It wasn't like I went looking for tags. if I hadn't known that it was tagged a slow burn, I probably wouldn't have minded as much. I would probably still have an issue with some of the pacing. But because it was supposed to be a slow burn, and I'm like, no. Like, they might kiss at 40%, but, like, they banged. So I'm just like, that, So I felt a little disappointed, because I like slow burns. I like that, like, slow development. I like the unresolved sexual tension until it's suddenly resolved a few times. Like, I like that. And I don't like being promised that, and then, like, within 40 minutes of me reading, I'm like, oh, we're doing this. And also, it wasn't graphic. You know, like, I'm reading these books, these, like, indie published Kindle romance books for some detail. And it kind of was like, they did the thing, and then that was it, and then the scene continued on. Like, that was kind of how it felt. There wasn't any, I couldn't fall into it, you know? So it was kind of disappointing. So yeah, so I gave it 3.5 stars. I did like the idea. I liked it somewhat. But, like, there were some glaring things that, like, definitely detracted from it. So that's how I'm feeling right now. As for the plan that I mentioned earlier, I've washed 2 loads of laundry. I'm going to switch those over. I'm going to make dinner. And then I will fold and listen to Luck of the Bodkins while I do that after I eat. And I will probably update you tomorrow because I don't want to do 4 updates in one day. Okay, so I'm going to do this real quick so that after we finish recording the podcast, I can just have Luck of the Bodkins just done. I did not enjoy this. It was so... Okay. My main complaint is that the same plot point, the same, like, lack of communication that I've been talking about, and, like, people are just making assumptions and just going with them, that happened between the same 2 characters, I want to say, like, 5 or 6 times. This is not a super long novel. It was, like, I want to say it was, like, 9 hours. That's a lot. And in different circumstances, like, different contexts, but the same thing pretty much happened 5 or 6 times. And I find that incredibly lazy and incredibly annoying because it's just predictable. Anytime something was like, oh, this character's gonna go over here. Oh, this character's gonna go over here. And this character's like, gee, I wonder what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna make an assumption about what's happening and they're gonna call off the engagement. And then 30 pages later, they're gonna get clarification of what was actually happening. They're gonna get back together. And that's gonna happen again. It's particularly upsetting because I know Wodehouse is a good writer. I've read books by him that I really enjoyed. I think I've given one a 5-star before. And most of them, well, let's say a good portion of them are above a 4-star. And so it's very aggravating to read a book that is just bad. There were no good characters. I think I mentioned this the other day. I liked 2.5 characters. I liked the main character, Monty. I liked his friend Reggie, which I think my dad disagrees with me on that one. And then I kind of liked this, like, Hollywood executive named Llewellyn. I kind of liked him at times. And I'm like, this was a book that had a cast of like 12 characters, and I only like 2.5 of them. So I was not having a good time. Sorry, I also just got back from running. So if I'm shiny, that's why. Yeah, I did not have a good time. It was very annoying. I gave it 2.5 stars. And honestly, that's what I got by putting it through Cop Pile, and that doesn't feel accurate to me. Like, I don't think it was just middle of the road. And, like, for me, 2.5 is not necessarily middle of the road. It's below average. I would say, like, a 3 is middle of the road. But it's still, that doesn't feel totally accurate. So I might change it in, like, my spreadsheet to, like maybe a 2-star. But, yeah, I didn't enjoy it. It made me about as angry as one of the Smith novels has. Because I don't like Smith as a character. So I don't like any of his novels. But this felt different because it wasn't just a character that brought it down. It was the entire thing. The only saving grace was Monty. Yeah, so there's that. I did also start reading I'll Have What He's Having. I read, I want to say like 50 pages yesterday. I'm enjoying it. I'll explain the plot later because I am kind of on time crunch. I have to go record the podcast with my dad. But I want to acknowledge I did start reading it yesterday. And I will hopefully read more of it today. And hopefully I will remember that I haven't talked about the plot yet. So, I'll check in later. Okay, so I can talk about I'll Have What He's Having now. So, I'll Have What He's Having is about this man, Farzan, who is a substitute teacher, but his family owns a restaurant. And Farzan's not having a good time. He wants to be in love. He wants to feel secure in like a career, and he doesn't because he did teach for a little bit, but he hit burnout and he's just been subbing since then. And when we first start reading the book, he is cooking for this date, and then he gets dumped right before it. And so he goes out to this restaurant that he's been wanting to try. And Farzan is Iranian. And because it's a restaurant, he's giving his name, but it's loud. And so he just opts to use the white name that he uses, which is Frank Allen, because it has the same initials. But he has apparently, he's forgotten and has not been pointed out to him that Frank Allen is the name of a famous critic in Kansas City. And so the wine manager at the restaurant recognizes the name, thinks that Farzan is this critic, and, decides he's gonna put in, a really good service. But there's this instant connection between Farzan and the wine manager, David. And so they end up flirting, and they actually end up going to Farzan's apartment and get to know one another. And afterwards, it's revealed, that Farzan, gave his white name, and they have a laugh about it, and they agree to be friends, which turns into friends with benefits, which turns into boyfriends. But it's complicated because David is studying to take his test to become a master sommelier. And so he's studying a lot for that, and he has plans to move once he gets that accreditation. And in the meantime, Farzan, his parents decide to retire for their health and spend time with their grandchildren. And Farzan can't fathom the idea of the restaurant not being in the family, and he is a good cook, and so he decides to take over the business. And so now he is owning the business and trying to learn how to do all the other things involved in owning a restaurant besides cooking. And so he enlists the help of David, and so as they're working together, David's helping him with the restaurant, Farzan is helping David study. As they're doing this, they're spending more time together, there's feelings, and it's going to get very complicated because it has an expiration date. So with that said, I am really enjoying it. I read about 145 pages yesterday, so I want to say 130 left. And I know that it's going to go up to when David takes his test and what will happen from there. So I'm very curious because I'm there's not really a compromise. One of them will have to give up something. either David will have to not move or Farzan will have to give up his restaurant. And so I'm just really curious, but I do really like the relationship between Farzan and David. It feels very real, of like friends and then, well, hook up and then friends with benefits, and how that can be sort of complicated when, you know, Farzan is not really into like hookups. You know, he wants to be in a partnership, he wants to be in love. And so he's doing this because he really likes David, but it's also just kind of like preparing himself for like so yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if I will finish it today. I would like to, but we'll just have to see, because I have other stuff I need to do. I've neglected some stuff. I ended up just reading for like 3 hours yesterday while Chris took a nap, and I'm working from home today, and Chris has today off, so yeah, it might just, I don't know how much time Chris and I will be spending together, and so I don't want to take away from that, but I also have other things to do, so yeah, anyway. so there's all that, but I will check in probably tomorrow and let you know if I have read some more. Once again, I'm not having the best day. But I'm not going to focus on it. It's done. I've done what I can to handle it. Hopefully it's over. And I'm just going to enjoy my day off. And I'm also going to wrap up this vlog. It's mid-afternoon on Monday. A little bit later than I usually end the vlogs. But I didn't want to go off and do things and potentially start a new book without telling you that I finished reading I'll Have What He's Having. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I really loved the relationship between Farzan and David. I thought it flowed really well. Like, the pacing was mostly pretty good. I guess I did have a little bit, this talking during the spicy scenes was a little blunt to me, I guess. I guess I'm used to more euphemisms or subtlety in talking during spicy scenes, but it wasn't anything bad, and I liked the resolution. It made sense, and it made sense for the individuals as well as the relationship. I guess my only issue is like Farzan felt kind of passive, and he was so focused on his faults that he didn't recognize his good qualities, and that got a little like frustrating towards the end, because like there were so many characters that obviously loved him and appreciated him for a reason, and he did sort of acknowledge that, but it's also, I don't know, it's just a little frustrating for him to just say continually that he was, you know, a mess up, he was the family mess up over and over and over again. It's like, then what are you gonna do about it? Like, all the other characters point out, like, you tend to have like a setback and you just give up, and we saw that in the book. So that part was a little frustrating, but I also get it, you know, it's valid, it's real, it happens to people, but yeah. So, but otherwise, besides that, I did like the book, I enjoyed it, I gave it 4.5 stars. So I do recommend it. It's also very interesting because, like, I haven't been in the food service industry in over a decade. So it was, and plus the part that I was involved in was not necessarily these like high-end restaurants. And so it was interesting to see that world, and especially around just the involvement of wine, because David is you know, studying and testing to become a master sommelier. So there's a lot about wine in this book. And I'm not a huge wine person, so I was like, this is really interesting. It doesn't make me want to drink wine, because I'm not a huge wine fan. Like, I'll drink it, but I will only drink white wine. But like, it was interesting. It's stuff I don't know about, and so it made me curious. So that was cool. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. And that's about it. Like, I'm just really trying to put the last couple hours behind me and focus on enjoying my day off. So I'm gonna go swim and not think about anything else the rest of the day. I will probably start another book, but that will be in next week's vlog. So thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, or click the notification bell. Oh, and click the notification bell. And I will talk to you in next week's vlog. Bye.